So tell me more about like the different angles you're talking about. So if that much of Revelation has to do with just kind of peeling back the curtain and seeing what's going on, why this particular way? Like, why is God using Revelation? Why is it kind of this flamboyant, almost creative language? That's
it's
kind
vivid, isn't it?
It's very vivid.
Yeah.
So what is going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a way of avoiding a truncated vision of how God is at work in history, right? So let's take, so Revelation and the book of Acts, we've kind of said this in some of the sermons, are doing largely the same thing. They're both about the implications of the ascension. Jesus ascends at the beginning of Acts, and from heaven, heaven is mission control for the work on earth, right? Revelation in chapter 1, verse 7, basically says it assumes the ascension. We get a vision of the ascended Jesus ruling from heaven in chapter 5, and then all the stuff on earth is the consequence of that. If we just had Acts, well, it'd be one thing to read that narrative, right? And the narrative might provoke our imagination to some degree.
Sure.
But Luke set out not so much to provoke, like Luke wrote Acts, not so much as to provoke these vivid images, but he says, I sat down to provide a coherent historical account of the things that happened, both with Jesus' earthly ministry and his heavenly ministry, right? Through the church. So Luke is the earthly ministry, Acts is the heavenly ministry.
Yeah.
The heavenly ministry is exercised
Through the church
on earth, but Jesus is in heaven doing his stuff there. Acts of Jesus on earth, Luke, Acts of Jesus in heaven, Acts. But if we only had Acts, then we'd have a pretty, I don't want to say one-sided, but we'd only have one angle. Yeah. We just have one angle, one perspective. So, but when you take Acts and you read Revelation beside it, all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is eye-opening.
Yeah.
And so I could hear you say, hey, Jesus is ascended and he's the Lord of everything and you should believe in him. Or you can show me a picture of you could do a word picture of a lamb with his throat slit, standing on the throne of God, reigning over beasts with 7 heads and horns all over the place. And then you could say, one of these guys wants to write his name on your face. Which one will you have? That's pretty provocative.
Yeah.
And it invites me to think, and it's an implication of the ascension. And it invites me not only to recognize, hey, here's some historical stuff that happened, and I should believe in, Luke wants us to believe in the ascended Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's the images in Revelation come with a certain power to really provoke, wow, which one of these am I aligned with? Does my life and do my values line up more with the beast or more with the lamb? And that's a hard question to answer.
I can't help but think in some ways it speaks to God giving us this holy creativity.
Yeah.
And choosing to use all these different methods to even describe himself.
I think that's right. God, the infinite triune God, eternal, infinite in glory and power.
Yeah.
We can't get him, we're not going to figure him out.
Right.
It should be difficult. If we can figure out everything there is to know about the infinite one in a
How
few
infinite
sermons,
could he really be?
He's not that impressive.
You're right.
Yeah, right. And so the New Testament invites us to sort of imagine the way God is at work in a variety of different ways. Just like each of the 4 Gospels kind of give us a different angle on Jesus and on the implications of what it means for the kingdom to come in his life. Like John is particularly interested in Jesus as the new temple. Mark is particularly interested in Jesus as the one who inaugurates the kingdom of God. Luke is particularly interested in how that impacts the poor, right? And so and it's not that any of them are uninterested in the other thing. They've just got certain things they really want you to recognize about Jesus, and they tend to emphasize those.
Sure.
Well, if we only had one of them, our vision of the Lord would be impoverished. And so we need this full-orbed 360, a 360-degree vision of, look at it from this angle. All right, now let's go look at it from this angle. You see it through Paul's eyes, now see it through Mark's eyes, now see it through Revelation's eyes, the apocalypse. And that fills it out. The trouble is, Revelation uses so many images that are so foreign to us, it's just befuddling.
Yeah.
we can read the Gospels and go, okay, I pretty much get what's sure.
Right.
The historical context will open our eyes to new things, but you can read the Gospels and pretty much figure out what's going on. Revelation, you can't just read it and figure out what's going on. You need to have some exposure to Jewish symbolism.